Let's be honest, we've all been here before, right? We're on YouTube searching for trading strategies, trying to find ones that are actually profitable. And some of these do look quite compelling. 4.3 million views, 1.7 million, 3.2. Question is, do these engagement levels reflect the true results, or are these strategies all just nonsense? And here, the number one result is TradingLabs' quote-unquote best MACD trading strategy with an apparent 86% win rate. 176k likes, 5,000 comments, and most of them are quite positive. You just made this make so much sense in 7 minutes, or great explanation of trading techniques, well done, right? But then at the same time, we have some people saying that from their back tests, they only got a 50% win rate. Now, who do we believe? Well, the answer is pretty simple. We have to build a backtest ourselves. And in this video, I'll be walking through the steps of building the strategy, backtesting, and then evaluating said backtests to see if our strategies are ready for the real markets or if these YouTubers are just absolutely clickbaiting. Now, the first step to building the strategy is just copy the link and head over to Stratter AI. Now, me personally, I like to use Stratter AI. If you want to use ChatGPT or Claude, you're free to do so, but you will notice that they run into quite a bit of errors when it comes to coding in PineScript, and that's the language that TradingView uses. Anyway, once you're in Stratter, you can create a new script, and you can paste in the video. Now, since we're just building the first initial README file, I'll switch over to the regular model and tell it to build the README file. Now, the README file is just plain English for what your strategy is doing. You have your entry rules, exit rules, risk and position sizing, backtesting plan, so on and so forth, right? If you're a non-technical user and you're not fluent in the PineScript language, this is going to prove very helpful to know exactly what your strategy is doing. All right, so after a few seconds, you'll see that it's completed it. Here we have the source and the two indicators that we're using. Very basic strategy with just the MACD and the 200 exponential moving average. Now, for those of you who haven't seen the YouTube video yet, it's a very basic trading strategy. We have the trend filter for the 200 exponential moving average. When it's above or below, that's when it's in an uptrend or a downtrend, mixed with the MACD signals, where if the line crosses above into the green, that means it's a long. If it crosses into the red, it's a short. If you want to know what exactly the MACD signal does, you can search it up. It's just two moving averages and plus a histogram to show exactly what's going on. It's a very popular momentum filter. Once we see that the README file is complete and looks exactly to where we want it to, this is when we would move on to the next step, and that's already building it. Now here is where I would escalate to the high model, as it is much more proficient in the PineScript language. All right, so after some time, we'll see that it's complete the strategy, and we'll see this running badge, which means the extension has taken control of the TradingView tab, and it's testing for potential errors during development. Let's just give it a couple of seconds. Perfect, no errors. And it's just going to give us one final message. Now, before I go on any further, one thing to keep in mind is I like to keep two tabs open, right? One tab, this is for the actual agent. It connects to this tab via the extension. And the second tab, this is for myself. This is where I can add or remove the indicators as I please. All right, so we can see that it's complete. It's 60 lines long. We can rename the strategy to MACD 200 EMA. Save. Now I'll head back over to my tab, press on the Pine editor, and add it to chart. Now, what you will notice quite often is when the agent is done building, it's putting in 0 trades, which makes 0 sense. All this means is that our properties need to get adjusted for the current ticker symbol that we're doing. 9 times out of 10, adding an extra 0 should suffice. Perfect. Now we can see the results. All right, so as you can see, the strategy plots the 200 exponential moving average. We can add the MACD manually. Perfect. And we can just double check that the strategy is working correctly. So here we see that on the previous candle, the MACD crossed over into the red. So this is where it put in a short and it was below the 200 EMA. And here is the exact opposite. This is for the long. So the strategy is doing what it's supposed to. Yet here are the results, and we see a 44% win rate compared to our promised 86. Nevertheless, evaluating the backtest is probably the most important part of any strategy, and simply looking at the total P&L, max drawdown is not enough to know if a strategy is viable yet. This is when we have to escalate it to the next steps. Now to do that, we'll head back to the tab that the agent is in control of. We will set the settings to the exact ones that we previously had. And for now, we'll just keep it on the 1 hour time frame. If you're curious how this strategy performs on other time frames, here you go. Perfect. Now, this is where we would take it to the next step of evaluating the backtest. One thing to also keep in mind is we haven't even incorporated the trading fees or the potential slippage that we would see. So this backtest is doing us more favors than we think. Now, once we're back in Stratter, we have two options. We can either tell the agent to pull the report. It can select the time frame and the ticker symbol and so on. Since we already have it set up here, we can just press it manually, pull report. Now, what this does is it lets the extension, once again, pull the backtest results. It will save all of our parameters, all of our trades, and so on. And then after a few seconds, we will see it pop up back in Stratter. Here we have the BTC USD 1 hour time frame, version 1, and source code. This is in the future. If we want to add another filter or something like that, we can compare different versions of our strategy to see which one performs the best, as well as our parameters, which we currently have set up here in the settings, in the inputs. Perfect. Anyway, as you can see, the strategy did not perform as we were promised. This is a very ugly P&L curve. The buy and hold outperformed tremendously compared to our strategy. Now below that, we have the more advanced statistics. Here we have a robustness score. This is based on our own formula from 0 to 100. As you can see, it's an 8.4. This is absolutely horrible, and our agent rejected this strategy. We have across the entire Monte Carlo, we have a 10% profit probability, and then some more advanced statistics. If you have any questions on what these statistics mean, you can always just ask the agent, as it has access to all your backtests, or you can just hover over, and here we see, for example, it's the median annualized return across saved simulations. Quite the mouthful, when it just really means is how much you can expect in return over one whole year based on the Monte Carlo simulations. Then below we have, once again, some distributions. You can pass these distributions right back into the chat, and it will provide you with all the information you need to know about the strategy. And then here below, we just have the more basic information. Anyways, as you can see, the strategy does not perform anywhere near what we were promised. In the video, he does talk about adding some more support and resistance stuff and whatnot. But at the end of the day, if this is how it performs, we can expect that much of an upgrade from adding the support and resistance. And also, what a lot of you might be thinking is, oh, why don't you change the parameters or change timeframes and so on? But that's a very slippery slope. You do not want to go down the rabbit hole of changing parameters, as that is most likely you just overfitting your strategy. Like, sure, the P&L curve can be much prettier than this negative 5.4. I can play around with these numbers. But at the end of the day, when I deploy the strategy, I've learned the hard way that it's very prone to collapsing. As you can see, this strategy was indeed nonsense compared to what we were promised with 4.3 million views. Now, what I do want to mention is that not every strategy is like this. There are most definitely strategies that do work. Before you put a single dollar on any of these strategies, it is very important for you to rigorously backtest. If you want to see other trading strategies similar to this one coded out, leave them down in the comments or press the subscribe to stay up to date, as I will be attacking all the major, most popular strategies one by one to truly evaluate their backtests. If you want to try your own luck and build your own strategies, I strongly suggest you use Stratter, as it has pretty much everything you need. I will be leaving a discount code in the description. Anyway, happy trading.